Greetings YouTube world. I wanted to make a short little video here to show how we in our off-grid setting here in the mountains of Honduras were able to use waste heat from our propane fridge to heat water for a little water heater that we made primarily for showers. So here's our propane fridge, and normally the exhaust on the propane fridge would come to about here. What we did, and this was, I can't take a lot of credit for this. My father and my father-in-law helped with the engineering and the making of this. And so the exhaust normally comes to about here. And so what we did is we added a copper pipe extension that goes from here to the top, right up there. And around that extension, we wrapped this copper coil, and we tried to get it tight so that it makes as much contact as possible, soldering where we could. And I wrapped some goofy insulation around there a little bit, trying to hold in as much heat as we can. And I'll tell you that when water comes out, it comes out scalding hot. And it naturally will want to rise up to the top of that pipe and go into that blue hose, just by the force of heating it. So once it goes up that blue hose, it'll go up over here to our tank. There's a 70 quart little cooler there that we're using, and it's worked really well. And so in that quart, in that cooler, we have a float valve that's made for refilling it from a cold water line that we have coming underneath our sink. We have the hot water coming in, but we also use it for recirculating. And so we have a return line that comes back to our whole setup, our whole water heater setup over here. And so we have a return line that's in this red hose, and that comes back to here, connects back into the copper coil line, and goes back to the bottom of it all, and goes back to the whole process. Now, I did also add on a hose that can send hot water to the sink as well. And then we tried putting this in as well, and it seemed to help a little bit. And what this is, we put this down the exhaust, and this just kind of maybe impedes the exhaust flow just slightly. But we're trying to use as much of that exhaust heat, that waste heat, as possible. But then the exhaust just goes on out and goes on its merry way. So from here, I'll show you how we set up our timers. So here's our timers, and these timers control a small 12-volt pump inside there. It's one of the smallest pumps that you can find on Amazon. It's about the size that you could use for maybe a fish tank or maybe a small water fountain. And so then these timers are timers I got off of Amazon, and they're made to run off of DC, and then they can either be used for either DC or AC applications. And so here, these timers are made to shut off for 40 minutes and kick on for 30. And so throughout the day, it's kicking on for 30, shutting off for 40, just that cycle. That allows the water to get heated up, and so it's not wasting my battery, and it's also not just cooling down that system, so it's able to get heated back up, so we can get that scalding hot water coming out of there again. I used 2 different timers just because these timers limit me to 16 different sets of on-offs. So by doubling it up, I'm able to get more cycles of that on-off system. So from here, there's a hose that's coming out of that cooler, out of our holding tank, and it runs down to the bathroom. So in here we have a couple things going on. Since this is primarily a gravity-fed system, this actually sometimes works the best, especially when we're trying to wash down our kiddos, giving them a bath. And this is actually just a kitchen sink little sprayer, but I'm sure you could use a shower wand or what have you. And then the hose comes in here. This is our hot water line, and it goes into this pipe that feeds into our shower head. There has been a few times where I have had to mix the cold water in to temper down the hot water that's coming in. Most times it's a comfortable shower. Sometimes it just barely takes the edge off. just enough to get through a shower and not despise every moment of it. Now here I've added in a switch, and this switch bypasses the timers. And what that does is that will kick on the pump in the holding tank, and it adds just a little bit more pressure to the whole water line, which makes for a little bit more enjoyable, more fuller shower pressure. Now I'll tell you that I am a novice. I will tell you that I am a novice at this. I did not choose to be an off-gridder person here. This was part of the reality of the calling that we had to come and live here in Honduras and live in this setting for this season. And so I'm sure there's lots of things that could be done better, lots of improvements that could be made to insulating the water lines, maybe changing the timer settings, maybe finding better, more efficient ways of capturing that heat off that stack. I simply just wanted to make this video because I know there's a lot of people out there that are DIY, off-grid homesteaders, you name it, that are looking for ways to use what they have efficiently. And I didn't see anything out there, any designs, anything, whether videos or pages, designs, anything on this nature. And so that's why I wanted to make this video, throw it out there to you. Hopefully it gives you some inspiration. I'd love to maybe hear some comments if you've made some improvements on it. This was kind of just an experiment. It's worked really well, and we'll see what we can do to improve it in the future. Anyway, that's all. Thank you.